Hi, this is John Harcher. We're back at the original HQ, and welcome to episode 29 of Left Turn at Albuquerque and part 1 of our look at Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 3. Today we'll be taking a look at discs 1 and 2. We got a lot more of the classic cartoons we've been waiting for, just not as many as we thought.
I knew I should have made a left turn at Albuquerque. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. I should have turned left at Albuquerque.
Now, before we do that, let me catch up on the release dates for the cartoons we've previously done that are only on the Platinums. We've covered the dates for the Bugs Bunny 80th Anniversary set, Porky Pig 101, the Essential Bugs and Daffy, and a few other places where these have turned up again. After this, we'll do the dates for all the cartoons going forward. So Volume 1, Rabbit Seasoning, September 20th, 1952. Long-Haired Hare, June 25th, 1949. High Diving Hare, April 30th, 1949. Wabbit Twubble, December 20th, 1941. Scaredy Cat, December 18th, 1948. Porky Chops, February 12th, 1949. Fast and Furious, September 17th, 1949. Boy, a lot of 49s in here. Feed the Kitty, February 2nd, 1952. Tortoise Wins by a Hair, February 20th, 1943. Canary Row, October 7th, 1950. Canned Feud, February 3rd, 1951. Speedy Gonzales, September 17th, 1955. And The Foghorn Leghorn, October 9th, 1948. Now for Volume 2, The Big Snooze, October 5th, 1946. Broomstick Bunny, February 25th, 1956. Bunny Hug, March 10th, 1951. Gorilla My Dreams, January 3rd, 1948. Little Red Riding Rabbit, December 18th, 1943. I always thought that was a 44. Tortoise Beats Hare, March 15th, 1941. Rabbit Transit, May 10th, 1947. Slick Hare, November 1st, 1947. Beep Beep, May 24th, 1952. Going Going Gosh, August 23rd, 1952. Zipping Along, September 19th, 1953. Guided Muscle, December 10th, 1955. The Dover Boys, September 19th, 1942. A Bear for Punishment, October 20th, 1951. Gift Wrap, February 16th, 1952. Any of those December 51s I could have switched it with. Baby Bottleneck, March 16th, 1946. Back Alley Uproar, March 27th, 1948. Hollywood Steps Out, May 24th, 1941. I Love to Singa, July 18th, 1936. Catnip College, June 11th, 1938. The Hep Cat, October 3rd, 1942. Three Little Bops, January 5th, 1957. And One Froggy Evening on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 1955. Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 3 was released on October 26, 2005, again with 60 cartoons from all the major stars and a number of themed discs. Before we get to the cartoons, Whoopi Goldberg does the introduction explaining why they've included some of the more offensive cartoons on this collection. This is actually very well done. It's note perfect. They could put this on any of the later collections with other tunes with issues. But they didn't need to put it on all 4 discs. It's a little bit of overkill. Anyway, as usual, we start with a disc of Bugs Bunny cartoons. Hare Force was released on July 22nd, 1944, directed by Friz Freleng and written by Ted Pierce and Michael Maltese. Bugs gets taken in by an old lady during a winter storm and battles for the fireplace with Sylvester, the dog. By the way, voiced by Pierce.
That's what's up.
Boy, Friz really wanted to use that name, didn't he? This is vintage Freleng with lots of Warner songs sprinkled throughout.
You must remember this. The kiss is still a kiss. The sigh is still a sigh.
They kind of redid this as Kit for Kat a few years later. This one was on Channel 5 all the time. We did the next one as an extra to the Bugs Bunny 80th set. Here's a re-edited version. Hare Remover was released on March 3rd, 1946, written by Warren Foster and Melvin Miller. There's no director's credit on here since it was well after Taschen left the studio, so it's possible Robert McKimson may have done some work on this. Elmer tries to experiment on Bugs in his lab,
but it doesn't go as expected. Now, try getting the signs correct as they flash up. I never knew the phrase bats in the belfry until I was over at my friend's house and I thought the last one was dingbat, and my friend's mom let me know what the right one was. Now, like I said, since I was a kid, this was an old syndication one, and I must have seen it back in my Wallington days because this image here, Elmer as the devil, kind of reminds me of the old Cook and Done paint cans that my grandfather had all over the cellar. They were a company out of Newark, so it was very big in North Jersey in the 60s and 70s. Restoration was of the nice but grainy variety. Would be nice to get the full HD upgrade available. It was on HBO Max. It is on Tubi. Hare Tonic was released on November 10th, 1945. It was the very first cartoon on Platinum Collection Volume 1, so we talked about it in Episode 2. Two 1947 tunes are next. A Hare Grows in Manhattan from March 22nd, Dad's 4th birthday, and Easter Eggs from June 28th. Maybe these two should have been flipped. They were both on Platinum Collection Volume 3 and talked about in Episode 8. The Wabbit Who Came to Supper came out on March 28, 1942, directed by Freeling and written by Maltese. Elmer, before he went on Slim Fast, can inherit $3 million from Uncle Wooey if he doesn't harm a rabbit. So Bugs ceases opening for trouble. Now this was the first of 2 times Freeling used the Fat Elmer design. This cartoon was part of the AAP package and on Channel 5 quite a lot. This one has commentary by Jerry Beck and Martha Siegel, who was an inker back in the Leon Schlesinger days. Another 80th set edition. Bowery Bugs was released on June 4th, 1949. It's the only Bugs Bunny short directed by Art Davis. Now, his usual writers, Lloyd Turner and Bill Scott, are credited, but Scott was on the record as saying he didn't remember working on this cartoon at all. The Bowery Bugs is a new twist on the old story of Steve Brody's jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, driven to insanity by thinking everyone's a rabbit.
Rabbits! Everybody's a rabbit.
Billy Bletcher does Brody, going from tough guy to complete crack-up.
What's up, Dad? What's up, Dad?
From time to time on Channel 5, it looked like something got edited out, but when I saw the whole thing, I guess they just had a bad copy. Michael Barrier contributes the commentary track. A couple from Chuck Jones are next. Homeless Hare was released on March 11th, 1950, written by Maltese. Jones and the gang throw Bugs into a battle with a construction worker building a giant skyscraper. The premise is very similar to the later No Parking Hare, right down to the John T. Smith voiced construction worker.
I'm feeling mighty low.
Now this little bit here was another opener for Channel 5's Bugs Bunny show.
Whoop. Hey, what's going on around here? What?
What the?
What's up, Doc?
The Case of the Missing Hare came out on December 12, 1942, written by Pierce. Bugs battles the magician Alibama and ends up sabotaging his big show. Chuck was well into his experimental stage that began with Hold the Line, Please. You see all these bizarre line-filled backgrounds with changing colors and odd shapes, while the action in front proceeds normally. Now, of all things, Yes used this as their opening act during their Big Generator tour back in 1987. Greg Ford contributes commentary here. Acrobat Bunny from June 29, 1946. Yep, Platinum Collection Volume 3 and Episode 8. Wackiki Wabbit was released on July 3, 1943, like Missing Hare, directed by Jones and written by Pierce. Two guys on a raft wind up on an island with Bugs, who torments them mercilessly until they turn the tables. Another experimental Chuck Jones, and one that fell into the public domain because it was on so many of those bargain cartoon collection videotapes, as mentioned in the commentary by John Kay and Eddie Fitzgerald. I mean, I've got one of them myself. The two castaways stranded on the island with Bugs were based on two writers we've talked about a lot, and it would have been nice if either of the commentary guys had mentioned it. They actually voiced them too. The skinny one is Ted Pierce, and the fat one is Michael Maltese. Hare Do came out on January 15th, 1949, directed by Friz Freleng and written by Pierce. He's a busy guy on this disc. A follow-up 5 years later to Stage Door Cartoon, where Friz takes Bugs and Elmer into another theater, and a rather big one at that. This one ended up getting cut in later years because the crowd at intermission was smoking in the lobby. But Channel 5 showed it uncut. Oh, those decadent 70s. Rebel Rabbit was released on April 9, 1949, directed by Robert McKimson and written by Warren Foster. McKimson loved having Bugs battle someone or something directly. This time, the bunny tries to get the game warden to raise the bounty on rabbits from 2 cents. He succeeds in a wacky series of attacks. And this may have been one of the earliest of Bob's Tex Avery type cartoons, as Bill on Tune In With Me noted about there ought to be a law. There's a lot of craziness you don't necessarily associate with him. He even created a meme 70 years early.
South America, take it away!
This was in the Channel 5 Post 48 syndicated package. Hillbilly Hare came out on August 12, 1950. You know where it came out on Blue and where we did it. Platinum Collection Volume 3 and Episode 8. This has Michael Barrier commentary and a music and effects track. Duck Rabbit Duck was released on October 3, 1953. As the finale to the Hunting trilogy, it was on Platinum Collection Volume 2, Disc 2, and done in Episode 6. Now, this may actually be my favorite Chuck Jones. I love the way he and Maltese subverted the formula they set up in the other 2 parts.
I guess I'm the goat. What? I'm a dirty skunk? Am I a pigeon?
This has an Eric Goldberg commentary track and a music and effects track as well. The extras include a Behind the Tunes on the Hunting trilogy, the Chuck Amuck documentary that was on the Platinum Collection Volume 1 bonus disc that we did in Episode 3.5, and bridging sequences and audio recordings to more episodes of The Bugs Bunny Show. Now, having seen some of the restored sequences of Huckleberry Hound and Magilla Gorilla on MeTV Tunes, I have really high hopes for these restorations when they come out, hopefully sometime next year. The second disc of Volume 3 is another theme disc relating to Hollywood caricatures and parodies, including a major guest star on the final tune. Daffy Duck in Hollywood was released on December 3, 1938, directed by Fred Avery, aka later Tex, and written by Dave Monahan. Daffy ends up on a movie studio set, causing all kinds of trouble, driving the director insane, and ended up in charge of a picture. The director's name spoofs Joseph von Sternberg, he's voiced by Rolf Sedan, and Sarah Berner breaks out her Katharine Hepburn a few times here.
I'm happy all over.
Character actor Jim Bannon does the newsreel.
With its inventor at the controls, the mystery plane roars down the runway. And he's off. He's off.
Hollywood Capers came out on October 19, 1935, directed by Jack King and written by Melvin Miller. One of the animators' names is quite familiar. This one's another trip to a movie set with a bunch of stars in caricature. We have W.C. Fields, Charlie Chaplin, Oliver Hardy. Kind of sounds like one we've done already and we'll mention again in a minute. It's also got a Frankenstein's monster in it. This is another one starring Beans. It seems the team at Warner's at the time had big plans for him. They didn't quite work out. Jerry and Martha do the commentary and mention that Tommy Bond was the voice of Beans. At the time the set came out, he just passed away a few months earlier. And as mentioned in the Porky Pig episodes, this may be Porky, it might not be. It's an open question. The Cuckoo Nut Grove was released on November 28, 1936, directed by Friz Freleng and written by Ted Pierce, and another familiar name is they're animating. It's a nightclub full of animal versions of famous celebrities. Or not. Let's rattle off as many of these as we can. In the opening shot inside, you have Charles Lawton, Joey Brown, Betty Davis, Lionel Barrymore, possibly Jean Harlow, and Fred Astaire. a mouse Walter Winchell, the ubiquitous Hugh Herbert, Piggy Fields and Horsey Hepburn, Ned Sparks, Luby Velez and Johnny Weissmuller, Drew's grandpa, John Barrymore, Harpo as a bird, George Arliss and Mae West as a turtle and a bird, Stan and Ole. We can add Clark Gable and Greta Garbo here, watching Edna Mae Oliver as you never wanted to see her. Now, I thought this was Boris Karloff, but it turns out it's Gary Cooper. You can tell because the three ladies here are a reference to Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. The Dion quintuplets, they were only 2.5 years old. They reused this gag later in Hollywood Steps Out with the Groucho reveal. Now, this looks like a Star is Born era Judy Garland, but she was 14 years old at this point, so that's obviously not her. It turns out it's Helen Morgan, actress who was in Showboat and unfortunately passed away in 1941 at a very young age. Now, this is tough guy Wallace Berry here, and other noted tough guys being brought to tears, Edward G. Robinson and George Raft. Now, the master of ceremonies is Ben Birdie, a very creepy-looking character of Bayonne's own band leader Ben Burney. See, look at this picture. They sort of get him right, but he doesn't look that odd. Now, his name may not ring a bell. It definitely didn't with me. But he actually has 2 contributions to pop culture. His catchphrase was, "Yowza, yowza, yowza."
It's an ill wind, yowza.
Which may have helped get Gig Young his Oscar for They Shoot Horses, Don't They?
And now you're going to see it, yowza, the Derby!
Richie also got into the act.
Yowza, yowza, yowza.
And so did Chic.
Yowza, yowza, yowza.
He was also a composer and the writer of a famous song a basketball team uses as their opening theme. No, not that one. This one. Yes, Ben Burney was one of the writers of Sweet Georgia Brown. Ted Pierce does Birdie, while Danny Webb and Bernice Hansen contribute other voices. This was a staple of TBS's afternoon cartoon rotation. Michael Barrier contributes the commentary track. Like I mentioned, Porky's Road Race, we went over in episode 21, Porky 10+1, going over all the cameos, including some of the ones we just saw. The Woods Are Full of Cuckoos came out on December 4th, 1937, directed by Frank Tashlin, and written again by Melvin Miller. This follow-up to Cuckoo Nut Grove has the creepy-looking Ben Birdie back for more, as this one follows the format of an old radio show, complete with a sing-along. There's a lot of people in here I don't think any of us would know. I'll just do the ones I think may be familiar with some of us. Alexander Walcott, we'll be talking about him more in a minute or so. Milton Berle is Milton Squirrel. Fred Allen is Mr. Growlin. Now this is a pretty decent run here. You have Eddie Cantor, Sophie Tucker, W.C. Fields, Dick Powell, Fats Waller, Deanna Turpin, I don't know who that is, Fred McMurray, Bing Crosby, Al Jolson, and the reason why I probably didn't see this, Ruby Keeler, and I don't know who else. Martha Ray and her mouth, Luella Parsons, Jack Benny and Mary Livingston, remember them, and Andy Devine. Like I said, I never saw this on TV. Now, the next year, Tashlin did a follow-up, Have You Got Any Castles? I mentioned last time that the cartoon had been newly restored for Volume 2, but didn't mention exactly what that entailed. Viewers Toon Talker and Brian thought I should go into it with a little bit more detail, so here we go. That one is without Ben Birdie, but with a charter member of the Algonquin Roundtable, drama critic, and another Jersey guy from Colts Neck, Alexander Walcott, who we just saw in the last cartoon as an owl. He's caricatured in the opening and closing scenes as the town crier, but if you ever saw this on TV, which I actually didn't, it was missing those scenes. Why were they cut? It turns out Mr. Walcott made a request that once he passed away, if the film was ever shown again, these scenes would be removed. Kind of an odd request, but Warner's agreed. Now, the poor guy had a heart attack during a radio show and passed away that very night in the mid-40s. The tune was given a blue ribbon reissue in 1947, and these scenes with Walcott were removed. 30 years later, in 1997, while George was still working over at MGM-UA, he and Jerry found a copy of what's specifically referred to in several places as the non-blue ribbon print of the film. They were putting together the Golden Age of Looney Tunes Volume 5 Laserdisc, the one without any major characters, and wanted to put this there. But Warner refused. Fast forward a few years, they're working with Warner's now, and the company releases the restored version themselves, but still with the blue ribbon intro, not the original titles. Does this mean the print they have is complete except for the original titles? I guess we'll have to wait for the Blu-ray to find out for sure. I was thinking about doing all this when the HD version actually comes out, but owing to the film's issues, not sure that's going to be anytime soon. So, see, our viewers help make these videos better. She Was an Acrobat's Daughter was released on April 10, 1937, directed by Freeling and written by Ben Hardaway. A Night at the Theater, complete with another sing-along, and plenty of short subjects. Now, I recognize this one from the hippo trying to get out of his seat over everybody, so it's probably from TBS. And I absolutely love the petrified forest spoof.
What's your name?
Wouldn't aim. Ask me again, I'll tell you the same.
I wish they could have worked Bogey in on this. Greg Ford does the commentary track. The Film Fan we talked about in Porky 10+1 as well. And it turns out I had it backwards there. Some of the jokes from Acrobat's Daughter were reused in this cartoon, only in black and white. Though eventually the whole thing was colorized. Speaking of the Weather came out on September 4th, 1937. Tashlin and Miller are back with yet another one of the cartoons where the books and magazines come to life. And yet another one I don't think I'd ever seen before this set came out. This one has some cartoon caricature staples like Hugh Herbert, Greta Garbo and her feet, Clark Gable and his ears, Johnny Weissmuller, William Powell. I know Ted Lewis since he was in the added sequence at the end of Abbott and Costello's Hold That Ghost.
Is everybody happy?
No.
Oh yeah, Ned Sparks. This one had its opening title restored here, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Thugs with Dirty Mugs was released on May 6th. That's a familiar date. 1939, directed by Tex Avery and written by Jack Miller. An Edward G. Robinson-esque dog gangster robs banks while the coppers are out to get him. Now, this was new for me at the time, but it was on the WB at one point on their Looney Tunes show with edits for violence. According to Looney Tunes Wiki, this is the earliest blue ribbon reissue to be restored for DVD. Now, the original title card is out there. It was part of a group on sale on eBay. Who actually bought it? You got me. This has a commentary by Greg Ford. Goofy Groceries came out on March 29, 1941, directed by Bob Clampett and written by Melvin Miller. He's another busy guy on this set. This time, the gang brings groceries to life. This was another TBS staple of the early 80s. The main caricature here is Jack Bunny, for Jack Benny. Oddly enough, a Rochester joke is at the end of this one, which usually means an edit, but I do remember seeing it at one point. Swooner Crooner was released on May 6th. Again, 1944. It was on Blue on Platinum Collection Volume 3, Disc 2, and we did it in Episode 9. Now, here's a fuller list of the singers done here. It starts, of course, with Frank Sinatra.
Would it be wrong to stay?
Nelson Eddy.
Little baby, love short and bread.
Al Jolson.
Enemy, baby.
Jimmy Durante,
Operation Sally, the lullaby of Broadway.
Cab Calloway,
Heidi, hi!
and Bing Crosby.
Now look here, Porky, old man. Let the old groaner take a whirl at those slick chicks.
Now Mel does the Durante, animator Dick Bickenbach does Crosby like he did later in Cats as Cats Can and others, but he also does Sinatra here. The rest of them were done by Sam Wolf. Now an original print of this did turn up in 2019 and was shown at MoMA in New York. We just need an excuse to get it released on something else. Maybe they can use the excuse of finding the original titles to put that on Collector's Vault, but only after a lot more non-upgraded shorts get released. Daniel Goldmark is on commentary. Wideo Wabbit came out on October 27, 1956, directed by Robert McKimson and written by Ted Pierce. Back to him. Bugs drops by Elmer's TV show on a ruse and raises havoc all over the station. Several bits from here were reused in later cartoons like People Are Bunny. There are great hits here on Groucho, done by Dawes Butler.
Welcome, welcome to You Beat Your Wife. Say the magic word and you win $100. Now, what is your name, sir, and what do you do?
And Liberace,
Come over here, George.
plus Bugs is Ed Norton, also by Dawes Butler.
Hey, take it easy.
This was a network one that also includes a music-only track. And speaking of Norton, The Honey Mousers was released a few weeks later on December 8th by McKimson and Pierce again. This is their take on the Jackie Gleason show/sketch with Ralph Crumden and Ed Morton having to find a way to get past the new cat in the apartment. Dawes Butler does the male duo while June Foray does Alice. She actually joins Jerry Beck on the commentary. Trixie only showed up in the final one, Mouse Follies, which was a bonus on Mouse Chronicles, which means we can get an upgrade at some point on Collector's Vault. I actually think more people base their Norton imitations off of Dawes Butler rather than Art Carney himself.
They'll be feasting tonight, Ralphie boy.
This one was in syndication. The Last Hungry Cat came out on December 2nd, 1961, directed by Fritz Freeling and Hawley Pratt, and written by John Dunn and Dave DeTeach. A Hitchcockian thriller, complete with silhouette, about Sylvester's conscience getting to him after he's finally eaten Tweety. Or did he? The premise of this is basically a redo of another Tweety and Sylvester we'll talk about on Disc 4. Character actor Ben Fromer does the Hitchcock imitation.
Conscience makes cowards of us all.
Ah, shut up.
This was on the networks and has a music and effects track. The last short we did as an extra on the Mouse Chronicles, so here it is again. The Mouse That Jack Built came out on April 4th, 1959, directed by McKimson and written by Pierce. This is basically an animated mouse version of the Jack Benny Show, complete with Jack, Mary Livingston, Don Wilson, the Maxwell, done by Mel Blanc as it was on the radio. And you wouldn't know it from watching the version Channel 5 showed through the 70s and 80s, but Rochester was here too. I guess they were worried about the stereotyping issue, but this totally misunderstands the relationship between he and Jack and does a real disservice to Eddie Anderson. He was a marvelous talent, a great comedian. His work needs to be seen more, not less. Here's hoping that doesn't dissuade them from doing a Collector's Vault upgrade sooner than later. Bonuses include two of the earliest tunes in the library that were bonuses on Platinum Collection Volume 1. Sinking in the Bathtub featuring Bosco, the first star, and the first Looney tune. And It's Got Me Again featuring mice that look suspiciously familiar having their way one night at a music shop. This was Warner's first Oscar-nominated cartoon. Now, this was originally going to be Lady Play Your Mandolin, but look at how long it took that to get restored, and it's still not on a Looney Tunes collection. There's also a behind the tunes on exactly who Bosco and Beans were, and Buddy for that matter, and another one on how they went about restoring these old cartoons. Hey, look, those guys look familiar. They also noticed the thing with the blue ribbon reissue cards. Now, they also include part 1 of the 1990 TNT documentary What's Up, Doc, obviously about bugs, and it includes a wild hare where the bunny first utters his famous catchphrase.
What's up, Doc?
And it's a perfect example why these tunes need restoration, yet it took so long to get it. Also on it are the Heckling Hare and the Big Snooze, which were on Volume 2. Now, viewer M. Wormathlin pitched in that this special was the first place that the Wild Hare title card first appeared. Yeah, that long ago. I think I actually still have this on a VHS tape. Whether or not it still actually works, well, that's an open question. Next time it'll be discs 3 and 4 with Porky and other pigs on disc 3 and all the other big stars except Porky on disc 4. I'm John Hartra. Thanks for watching.